We're going to talk about two main things today. Instagram domination. The first thing we're going to talk about is the algorithm in 2024. How does the algorithm actually work? Because a lot of people get it completely wrong. So I'm going to explain to you how it works. It's very, very simple actually. And then we're going to talk about a strategy that we're using, and I'll show in a minute who we are, to grow really fast on Instagram. It's actually a very simple strategy, and everything that you learn today or everything that I'm sharing today is just our experience of building a lot of Instagram accounts. And what's cool about it is that it actually works with any platform. So all of the rules, the physics that I'm going to explain to you, they work on TikTok, they work on YouTube, and every platform that is video driven. So my name is Andy Zoltan. I'm the founder of a company called the Impact Network. All of our products are in wellness and fitness and yoga. And one of our platforms is doyou.com, which is a yoga platform, kind of like Netflix for yoga and fitness, with over 1 million members. We built that over the past 10 years. And then 3 years ago, we launched an agency called Impact Agency, where we work with influencers in this space with like 500,000 followers plus, and we help them basically optimize their monetization, optimize their content creation, and basically make more money and make their business more sustainable, because most people that build large audiences start from like their bedroom or something, and then they really don't know how to build a business, so we help them do that. We also run a company called Impact Agency, which is a coaching and education platform where we help people on all levels who are fitness creators to launch their own platforms. And we have a SaaS, software as a service platform called Impact Studio, where people can host all of this. They can build their marketing funnels, and they can host their online platforms, mobile apps, and stuff like that. So long story short, we work with a lot of creators, especially personal brands, who leverage Instagram and other social networks to grow their businesses and to grow their personal brands. Every day we work with people that are at absolute zero all the way up to 1, 2, 3 million followers, and we help them just get better at this stuff, okay? And I personally also started to get into content creation because I really believe in personal brands. I think the present and the future of business is personal brands. And so I'm building my personal brand as well. I've built my audience in the past year successfully, I would say. With Do You, we built over 1 million followers across various platforms. I personally have 200 something thousand on YouTube, 26,000 on Instagram, and helped a bunch of people like grow their own channels as well. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, let's talk about the Instagram business model. Okay, and this, again, it's the same for all the platforms, be it TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, whatever. The thing that Instagram wants from you guys, from everybody who is on Instagram as a consumer, is they want your attention. They want you to spend as much time as possible on the platform, right? They want you to watch a video for as long as possible, swipe to the next one, or watch it till the end, watch the next one, and do this like basically all day ideally. Because how does Instagram monetize? They make money by showing you ads. This is the only reason why Instagram can exist. They don't exist so that you can share your family pictures with your friends or connect with your friends or anything like that, because you looking at the pictures of your friends, you're not gonna be entertained or inspired or educated or anything. You're only going to be entertained by highly optimized reels and memes and shit like this, right? So they just want you to be on the platform and like basically not move. This is why Instagram exists, which means that the more time you spend, the more of a video, of a reel that you watch, the better for Instagram. If you watch a reel and you don't like it, that's bad for Instagram. They want you to watch it, right? And that's why the algorithm will always show you the stuff that you engage with and that you watch for the longest time. This is how Instagram works, and that's how all the platforms work. Attention means more ads and more money. Attention is the number one resource of the 21st century, okay? This is the only resource that matters for business right now. In the past, in the 20th century, it was oil probably, but in the 21st century, it's attention. And so they're harvesting our attention. You can look at it through whatever lens you want. As a consumer, it sucks. from a business standpoint. You just need to understand it and leverage so that you can grow your business, okay? So that's super important to know. And there's a really big difference from how social media came about. And so I grew up seeing the first social networks, and then Facebook came about and Instagram and stuff. And in the beginning, if you guys remember, it was like, oh, I connect with my friend. This is my friend. I'm going to post a picture of my lunch. And well, actually, people still kind of do that. But this is not what Instagram is about at all. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, these platforms are not like that. They're not about that. They're not about your friends. They're not about you sharing your day-to-day stuff. They are only about showing people stuff that will retain them on the platforms. And your lunch is not going to retain people on the platform, okay? A meme or some kind of funny story or some reel about things that people actually are really interested in, that's what's going to keep people on the platform. And that's very important to know, because whenever you post anything on these platforms, what's important to you does not matter at all. What you want doesn't matter at all. The only thing that matters is what the audience wants, okay? So this mindset shift is important, because if you look at, for example, you work for a hotel, right? I see a lot of hotels, or also yoga teachers and brands in general. You look at their grid and it's just like glossy marketing picture, some kind of like quote, blah, 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 like completely like no one cares, right? And no one will consume. There's nothing in there that would give Instagram a reason to show this content to anyone unless they want to screw their own business model, right? So if you look at it from that standpoint, you already understand, okay, well, probably the stuff I'm posting is completely not going to get me what I want, right? And we'll talk about what you want and what you can accomplish through Instagram in a minute as well. Generally, Instagram is a great place. It's an amazing place to get into cold audiences. It's an amazing place to make people aware of your brand and your product and whatever you stand for, what you represent, okay? So if you look at the marketing funnel, a lot of you are entrepreneurs, run businesses, you know what this is, right? You get up here, you get people in, right? So this is where you get eyeballs. This is where you get people for the first time to see that you exist, okay? At the top of the funnel. And at the bottom here, this is where you make money. So what you want is you want people to move through this thing. And in order to move people towards buying something from you, at the very first, what you need to do is you need to make them aware that you exist. Otherwise, they will never end up in this funnel. And Instagram is a great place to make people aware of the fact that you exist. People that have never heard of you can actually learn that you are somebody that can provide value to them. And the way that you do this is through Reels. The number one thing, it also works through posts, but today we're mainly going to focus on Reels because it is, in our experience, the absolute most powerful way to get into non-followers. Who here has a professional Instagram account? Like you can change your Instagram account from a personal to professional, right? No? Anybody? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, if you're serious about Instagram growth, you need to toggle your account to professional. Okay, and if you do that, I think on the personal or whatever it's called, that's not possible. On the professional accounts, for every post that you post, you will see a diagram like this. Anybody seen this before? So this cake diagram, for every post, you will see how many people that saw your content are followers and how many are non-followers. Okay? And so Reels are by far the best way for you to reach non-followers. Okay? Because what if you post something and this whole thing here is purple or whatever color it is, and everybody who sees your content is a follower? What does that mean? It means you're not growing. Because you have 1,000 followers and 200 of those saw your post, there's nothing's happening, right? So, and this brings me to the next thing. Follower count does not matter. This is another old perception from back in the day when we used to build our Instagram, our Facebook pages, and even Instagram in the beginning. follower count does not matter. The CEO of Instagram, Mosseri, I don't know his first name. I don't even know if that's his last name. That's his Instagram handle, Mosseri. So Mosseri said follower count basically does not matter. And that's why you can see accounts that have 1 million followers that have 2,000 views or 20,000 views on a post, because what matters is the content itself. The content needs to be worthy of being shown to people, and then it will be shown to people. And whether you have 1 million followers or not, it just does not matter. Followers is a pure vanity metric. Well, it's not a pure vanity metric. It also gives you legitimacy, because we all judge other people and businesses based on how many followers they have, right? You're like, 80,000 followers, 500,000, they must be legit, right? So for that, it's important. But I can tell you, for business, it doesn't matter. In our agency, we have people that have 500,000 followers that they've been like building over 10 years, but their engagement is really bad. And when we run campaigns with them, they will do like 50K with one campaign. And then we have another person that has an email list of 20,000 and maybe 80,000 Instagram followers that are very engaged, and they make 150,000, right? So small audience, way more money. Big audience, not necessarily a lot of money, okay? So follower count does not matter. So content is everything, and reels are the most important thing. Now, I'm gonna explain to you the most important thing to understand. Okay, I'm gonna ask, what do you guys think is the most important metric for Instagram and YouTube and TikTok to decide whether they should show your content to more people? No. Retention. Retention. This is the most important metric on any type of video-based platform. What does this mean? Retention means how long on average are people watching your shit, okay? So let's say this is your reel. It could be a TikTok or short or like a LinkedIn, whatever they call it on LinkedIn. This is your reel. This is a video that you made, a reel that you posted, and let's say it's 50 seconds long, okay? Retention means how long on average are people watching your reel. So if, for example, let's say they watch on average, let's say 10 seconds. If your average watch time on a reel is 10 seconds, that means that it's 20. That means a 20% retention, okay? If you have an average watch time of 40 seconds, that is an 80% retention. And this is the only thing that Instagram cares about. It's also the only thing that YouTube cares about. Long form YouTube videos, same thing. Short form YouTube videos, same thing. TikToks, same thing, okay? So why is that? Because Instagram wants to keep you on the platform. YouTube, they all want to keep you on the platform. And if people are not watching all of your content, it means they're not satisfied. They're not getting what they want, and their experience of Instagram gets worse. And so there's more chance of them closing the app, swiping away, doing something else, and going out of doom scrolling, right? So that's why retention is extremely, extremely important. This is the number one metric that all of these platforms want to optimize for, okay? So retention, and this is, to be honest, this is the most important message that I can give you today, that retention is the most important thing. And if you go into your Instagram account, you can open your latest reel. I'm not sure if it works with personal accounts. And you can see the average watch time on your reels. And if you have a 50-second reel and the average watch time is 10 seconds, which is likely, if you've never heard of this, your reels are probably, they suck, right? That's just how it is. And it's okay, like they suck, you can make them better, and then you get better at this. But if you don't know this, you just make some random reels, that's what's gonna happen. Your average watch time is gonna be 10 seconds, 20% retention, and then this is where you will be forever. You will be in follower land, which means your content will only be shown to your followers and you will not grow. The only way that you can turn this donut pink, or whatever the other color is of non-followers, is by creating reels that have a very high retention. I'm going to explain to you how you can do that, and I'm also going to talk to you about like a strategy that you can use. What's up?
And is that a good number? Like
Yeah.
50%, 60, 70?
Great question. So yes, you definitely want your retention to be higher than 50%, but more likely you want it to be at 70, 80%. Your retention can actually be more than 100% because people can watch reels over and over again, right? So you can watch a reel. Sometimes I watch reels like 2 or 3 times. So one person can generate like, 50 seconds of watch time. And that means something is like really, really interesting and captivating and relevant to them, right? And I guess from generally speaking, if you look at Instagram as a business, it makes a lot of sense. Why would they show them your reel that is boring as shit versus some other reel that actually people want to see, right? It just makes sense. Like it's you can whine about it, you can say, oh, this sucks, Instagram is such a blah blah blah, but I mean, they want to make money just like you. How are they any different, right? Retention. Okay, so all right, so now the next question is how can we increase retention? Guys, do we have any questions in the meantime? Hey, no questions. Let me take a sip. Now is a good time to leave because if you go away only understanding this, you're good. Like you're good in general. It's true. I guess the next question is like how can you increase retention? And for that, I want to explain something to you that like I mentioned I quit my last job in 2014, so I've been running my own company for 10 years. And has any one of you ever heard creating value? We need to provide value. You ever heard that? And no one knows what the fuck that means, right? It's like, you know what, this newsletter, yeah, but like let's really provide value here, guys, right? And you might have an idea. I had no idea whatsoever what that means. Like I was just like, well, I guess like a lot of shit. Like we just give them a lot of whatever, right? Like a lot of videos, a lot of text, a lot of stuff, whatever we have, we just give them a lot, right? And that's a big mistake. This is just not how value works. But in order to get retention, what you need, I'm gonna need this thing actually later, but anyway. So in order to get a high retention, the first thing that you need to understand is what it means to provide value. Because you cannot make somebody finish watching your video if they don't think whatever it is that you're offering them is relevant to them or provides value to them, okay? And I'll give you like a really, really simple framework for understanding how to provide value. So essentially what providing value means is, first of all, you need to have clarity about who your audience is. Who has absolute clarity here about who their audience is? Who's your audience? Product managers. Okay. What do you help them with? What problem do you solve for them? Okay, perfect. This is great. So you know your audience, you know what problem you solve for them, and you know what their struggles are. And these are the 3 things that you need. You need to know your audience. You need to know exactly what goal they have, what problem you're solving, what need they have, and you need to understand their struggles. And if you know these 3 things, all you need to do, what providing value means is you help people accomplish the goal that they have by removing the struggles, right? So for example, you help product managers get better at, like, become expert level, top industry level at managing products by helping them overcome imposter syndrome, giving them the systems, giving them the guidance that they need, and the systems, whatever, right? So if you know these things, then your content, your reels, everything that you make is going to be valuable because this is what you talk about, right? You talk to product managers, you talk about things that they actually want, which is, hey, I want to become better at product management. I want to be able to land a job at Meta. I want to like, feel worthy of this job. I want to, whatever the struggles are, right? That's providing value, okay? They have a dream that they want to accomplish. And actually, I like to draw it this way. I'm just going to draw this because I think it visualizes it very nicely. It's quite simple. So here, this is your customer. This is your customer now. And this is your customer then. Okay? Providing value means you get them closer from where they are right now to once they've accomplished their goal. Okay? I'll give you an example from our industry. So we work with a lot of like fitness, wellness, yoga creators. So let's say they want to increase their flexibility. Okay? I know this is like a total B2B crowd, but whatever. It's just okay. So they want to increase flexibility. Right now, they can't touch their fucking toes, right? Now, the closer that you can get them to touching their toes, the more value you've provided. But in order to get there are roadblocks, struggles, right? So for example, it could be, I don't know what to do so I can touch my toes. I can't find the motivation to actually practice the poses or practices that I need. I can't stay consistent. And removing those roadblocks is providing value. So how you can look at this when you create content is just look at this framework. This is your audience. This is the outcome they want to accomplish. And these are the roadblocks. And you just create content about all of this stuff. It's super straightforward. And now suddenly you go from like pulling topics out of your ass, like, oh, maybe I should talk about this, post like a picture of like an inspiration quote into, well, I mean, I know who I'm helping. I know what they want. And I know the struggles that they have on their way there. All I need to do is talk about that and help them get closer to this thing, right? So that's providing value. So this is the number one thing. When you go into content creation, the first step that you have to take is you need to actually understand what it means to provide value. And once you figured out who your audience is, what problem you help them with, and what their struggles are, then you can actually go ahead and create content. So now you know what to talk about. Step number one, to have high retention, talk about topics that are actually relevant to your audience. Okay? So, any questions so far? No. Okay, cool. Let's look at the reel again, okay? So let's look at retention again. And this is, honestly, this is just physics. It's so common sense if you think about it. So when you create a reel, let's go back to our 50-second reel, okay? So you make a 50-second reel, and previously, and this includes me, I would make a reel about something that has, like, it was something that I thought was important, and I want to, sound smart or whatever, and I talk about something for 50 seconds, and people are like, yawn. Like, I don't even know, this is not relevant to me, it's not entertaining, interesting, inspiring, like, it's not, it doesn't educate me, right? So now just by changing this from random topics that I just, come up with to this graphic that I just showed you, providing value, that's already a huge first step, right? Now, the online marketing world and Instagram is hyper optimized. So everything that I'm telling you right now, there are millions of people out there that are leagues and leagues beyond this, right? They're like, oh God, these noobs, like, okay, whatever, right? That's just how it is. Marketers, online marketers, we've got some personal coaches, life coaches here. That market and all of the markets actually, especially consumer markets, are extremely developed when it comes to content creation. So you need to step up your game, and it's not crazy difficult, but you just need to understand a couple of things. And this goes for B2B too. Like, there's so many epic opportunities in B2B content creation and creating opportunities through even TikTok and all of those platforms. It's nuts. There are a lot of entrepreneurs and businesses, even investment companies and so on, that are using Instagram to funnel, for example, like early stage businesses into their funnels, and like there's so much stuff going on the B2B end as well. Okay, so anyway, when it comes to creating a reel, first of all, topic. We just talked about that, right? Now, the next question is, how do you retain people in your reel? I know we're super tactical right now, but at the end of the day, you can use this shit and you can just go ahead, make a reel and instantly get like, 5 or 10 times more views on what you were doing previously, right? And it just helps you guys also overall to understand how social networks work, so that if you work with agencies, if you work with other content creators, if you hire people, that you know that they have their shit together and they know that this is important, okay? And of course, you can use it if you're content creators yourself, because it's going to be a complete game changer. So now the question is, we talked about value. So we have the topic and we want to provide value. How do you retain people in a reel so that they don't drop off instantly? And this is also actually quite simple. Look at it this way. Let's say this ball here, this is the absolute amount of value that you want to provide in this reel. I'll give you 3 scenarios, and it's going to be very obvious for you to figure out which scenario is going to increase the chances of people continuing to watch this reel, okay? Scenario 1, all of the value is in the last 10 seconds. What's going to happen? They watch the first 5 seconds, they're like, there's no value here. Okay, boom, done. Next reel, right? Next scenario, you front load all of your value in the first 10 seconds. Value, 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 and then the rest of it is just rambling. What's going to happen? They watch it, and then there's no more value, down, okay? So what you want to do is, you want to spread out your value throughout your content. And I know this sounds like, I normally talk to crowds that are like ultra tactical and in the day-to-day content creators. And so I think if you're not a content creator, this can sound like very nitty gritty and, I have to like create all these value loops and blah, blah, blah. But this is basically the universe of content creation in general. And you will see it whenever you watch content, because we all consume content like all the time, right? You will see that this is how it's done. And it's going to help you understand, why do you even watch? Why am I watching this reel, right? Why am I watching this reel of a freaking sheep walking by a puddle and almost falling in? The reason why you're watching it is because first you see a cute sheep, and then the sheep is walking by the, let's say like a little river, and you see, it's almost falling in. So you're here, right? And then it almost falls in, and you're like, it doesn't fall in. Oh, okay, wait. But then there's like this other thing that's happening, right? Like suddenly there's a dog coming, right? And then you watch it again. And this is how you like just jumping from like this moment to moment. And this is how it works. You might have seen, for example, on Instagram, artists that make a painting or something, right? And you see this thing, you see this brush, and it goes, and then you like, first of all, you see like, maybe like a glance of something, you're like, this is interesting, what are they doing, right? And so then you see some brush strokes, and you're really wondering what's happening. And then you see some brush, and slowly you're like, this is boring. But then suddenly you think, like, actually, I might know what this is. This might be a horse, right? And then it's like, then they keep drawing, and the next one is like, wait, it's not a horse. This must be like, what is this, like a butterfly or something? And then you just keep on like guessing and thinking, and like, the artist or the video keeps teasing you because it only shows like a small frame of the painting, or the painting is made in a way so that you kind of like keep guessing. These are retention loops, right? And this is how you make people watch the entire thing. And you can do that in any type of content. That's why, lists and like 3 mistakes and all that stuff is working so well, because you watch one thing, and even though it's boring, you're hoping for the next thing. So let's say you wanna get better at growing your Instagram. Like, hey, I'm gonna give you 4 tips on how to grow your Instagram. You hear the first tip, you're like, okay, I already knew that. But I mean, there's 3 more. So you stay for the next one, right? And then sometimes in the beginning they would say, something like, you stay around for the last one because that's the real game changer, or some shit like that, right? So then like, by the end, you really were like sticking around for the thing in the end. So this is how retention works, and this is how you have to look at content creation, like in general, even long form YouTube videos and stuff like that. And even honestly, it happens with anything. Like, I'm not really doing it right now in this workshop because the door is closed and you can't leave, and kind of be rude if you do. But even like if you do any type of online content, and this is how we function, right? This is how we function. You got to give like little bite-sized kind of like values, and yeah, it's important. Okay, that's retention. Any questions? No questions. Yeah, go ahead.
What's your view on content versus long form content? Like 15 versus 60?
Seconds?
Yes. Or
Yeah.
long form?
That's a really good question. So in the past, when I would do coachings like this, I would say you need at least 80% retention. And then people are like, yeah, then I make a 3-second video and then blah, blah. That doesn't work that way, right? So at the end of the day, the platforms want people to stay on the platform for as long as possible. And I think there was a time when like super short videos would work really well because they would loop, and you would have these videos where you don't even realize that it's starting from the beginning again. So you would have a reel, even like a longer reel, and then in the end they would say something, and I didn't know, and then it goes to the end again. This is the best trick for blah, blah, blah. And you don't even know you're watching it again, hacks like that, right? So in general, we go for minimum 30 seconds, 60 seconds is better. But the main reason why longer format is better, because the kind of crowd that you attract is more valuable. You will get people that have 60 seconds attention span, meaning that they can actually relate to what you talk about, and they're more likely to follow you and sign up for the stuff that you have. What we see with very short videos is that sometimes they can get a lot of views, or very basic videos. They can have these massive, like we would have like one of our members has like 500 followers, and they would have a reel with like 40,000 views, and it's just some short like 5-second thing, and there's zero effect on their growth whatsoever. So in terms of like actually providing value and getting the audience that you want to educate them, right? You don't want to like just have like weird like memes and jokes and stuff like that, because we're trying to make money here, right? And so yeah, that would be my response.
So my question is related to what you just said. I think what you've just kind of outlined is different content types, right?
Yeah.
So you mentioned memes. Also, people go to Instagram looking for, I don't know, information, entertainment, memes, tips, coaching.
Yeah.
So do you see that there is a tendency towards certain types of content that perform better on Instagram versus other types? Or do we just do a whole mix?
Yeah.
And attract and with a variety?
It depends on your goal, and because, like I said, we're all trying to make money here, I wouldn't look at Instagram or any platform as a whole. For example, do you know Mr. Beast? Belle knows Mr. Beast. Everybody? Yes. Okay, anybody know Mr. Beast? Show of hands. One. Okay, he's only the biggest YouTuber in the world, just saying. 300 million subs or something. So he uses certain tactics for his content, but all of his content is entertainment content. He makes money through sponsorships and ad revenue. But if you run a business, unless you're an influencer, which I'm assuming none of you are, I'm not one. We don't really work with influencers either. We work with people who run personal brands and who monetize through their own products. So just as a disclaimer, in general, even if entertainment content and memes and stuff like that works well, that doesn't mean that it actually drives the KPI that you want to drive for your business, which is going to be leads, engagement, signups, and profit revenue in the end, right? And so the answer to the question is educational content, absolutely 100% educational content. I'm working with this public speaking coach because I want to get better at doing stuff like this. And so she told me yesterday, I had the first call with her, and she told me she makes $250,000 a year and she has 30,000 followers. Her content, and she doesn't even have that many views. I was looking at her Instagram, she's got like 7,000, the occasional 50,000, 100,000, like 5,000, 10,000. Like, it's not like, you wouldn't think that this is like a solid full-time salary. But because her content is so ultra focused on educating and presenting her as an expert in her field of becoming better at public speaking, it's extremely valuable, right? Like I signed up because I saw a reel of hers. I'm like, it was cool because like I saw one reel of hers and I left a comment. I never leave comments. I left a comment. It was so good. I'll tell you what it was about because it's really interesting. And then I booked a call instantly and I was like, oh my God, I hope she takes me like, because she's so good. And then we got on a call and she's like, yeah, it's like 3,000, 2,500 bucks or something like that. I'm like, okay, yeah, fine, I'm down, right? Because she qualified herself so well and it was so valuable for me and there was absolutely no doubt for me that she's the right person for me. And all she needs to do is sell 100 people like me a year and she makes $250,000. So educational content, 100%. That's also why I think YouTube is a great platform because it's a very, I mean, except for YouTube Shorts, but what is the scenario you're in most of the time when you watch YouTube? It's like a lean forward, searching, learning type scenario, right? I mean, I also watch like reruns of The Office and stuff like that on YouTube, but I also do all my podcast watching and all my search. Like I don't use Google for search, I use YouTube, right? And so Instagram, on the other hand, is like you're like this on your bed, like swipe, 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 swipe. You know, it's like this lean back kind of like passive mode. And yeah, so educational content is it. And there are different ways to do that, right? I mean, there are a million ways. And we'll talk about, I don't know, how much time do we have? Are you guys still good? Or like, can we still go a little bit? Or, because I haven't even talked to you about the strategy.
At the retention level. Our retention level is too high.
So I need to add some loops. There's a sheep somewhere. Did we have any other questions?
So are you creating the video so that you can create content for your business?
Yes, I am. So yeah, content creation is a hustle. Like I use these opportunities. Like if this room was empty, I would still do the same thing. When like, yeah, it's a great opportunity. I'm gonna repurpose the shit out of this. I'm not gonna publish it as long form. I'm only gonna we have a content creation team and a head of content, and they're really good at like taking this and transforming it into shorts. So that's what we do, reels. Yeah. Say again? That's a bit difficult to say because we work with a bunch of random freelancers and agencies, but in-house we're 3. So we've got a head of content, we have a full-time editor, and we've got a content manager, and then like agencies doing random stuff. Yeah. Okay. Any of you? Sorry. Yes. Go ahead.
So I went into the rabbit hole of hook design.
Hook design.
I think like hooks are very important.
100%.
Any tips? So I tried to train ChatGPT to come up with hooks,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
But I have not really found like
Yeah.
something that really works.
I'm really glad that you bring it up because I forgot to mention something. Here at the beginning, you need to hook people in. So the very first thing that you need to do is to make sure that people who watch the reel, your audience, knows that it's relevant to them. So you need to call out your audience. You need to call out your audience. And so you call out your audience and you clearly state what it is that they're getting out of it, right? So if you're a project manager and you're trying to land a gig at Meta, I'm going to show you like the 3 things you absolutely have to do have in your CV, right? And then that's the hook. Sing. I'm German. Sing 1, sing 2. Thing 1, thing 2, thing 3, bonus, right? Just example. There's no general rule for hooks, but once we get into the modeling strategy, they'll basically answer your question, okay? How to find good hooks. Was there? Nope. Okay, cool. All right, that is that. Okay, there's one more thing, and that's a big one. Actually, it's not that big, but I just want to say it. Who knows what this is? Yeah. Like, comment, share. And you could actually put like views here too. most people look at metrics on their socials this way. I want to get as many views as possible. That's the first thing you look at. Second was I want to get as many likes as possible, and then engagement. I heard this engagement thing in comments, right? And then I don't know what is that? Fuck it, right? The reality is, and this was also said by the CEO of Instagram, Mosseri, this here is the most important engagement factor for Instagram: shares. Instagram literally says the most important indicator of engagement is shares. So when you create your content, you don't want to go for views and likes or even comments. You want to go for shares because that's what's going to drive your reach. That's just something important to know. So when we create content, we don't look at it this way anymore. We don't look at that much into views and likes and comments. We look at it from the other side. We look at shares first, saves as well, and then comments, and then likes, and then views. Because if you have a lot of shares and saves, what does this mean? It means that you have very valuable content. He's messing up my content right now.
Sorry about that.
I wonder actually, is it legal to have beer in an Instagram reel? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Is it?
sure.
Huh. Probably not if you want to run ads though. Okay, so forget about these. I mean, it's kind of like still a success indicator, but when you look at shares versus likes, aim to create content that gets more shares than likes, and you're good. Like you're golden. I did an interview with this fitness creator. His name is Adam Frater. He has like millions of followers across several channels. And he taught me this even before Mosseri was saying it. He was like, I optimize my content for shares and saves. And likes, I don't really care about likes. Comments is okay, right? And I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's really cool. And then Mosseri was basically saying that exact thing, and that kind of blew my mind. And it's a good thing to optimize for, because then you know that you're really providing value. Because if somebody shares or says something, it means, hey, this is great. One other indicator that a lot of creators were complaining about is that, well, I mean, what do you share? Like, what are you most likely to share, you guys? Okay.
Funny things,
Educational things? Like, the only thing that I share is memes. Like, I mean, yeah, exactly. I'm like, hey, this was so funny. And I would literally like copy the URL of a reel and send it on WhatsApp, like go all this way just to make this funny thing, right? I've done it like 2 times today.
How about save?
Yeah, so actually, I don't know. I think it is an indicator, and I feel like people save. I always wonder who the hell saves stuff on Instagram, but people do. Really?
Yeah.
There was a huge article the other week saying that actually that's one of the most
Different folders.
What do you? What?
Travel, like
Wait, and you look at it after?
yes.
But there's also
Like
the,
renovation for the house.
Like Pinterest.
there's also the ADHD.
But at the end,
where it's just
business one.
screenshots, they never look at it again.
Yeah. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. So, I mean, Instagram gods didn't say anything about shares, so we have to wait. But I'm assuming that it has a positive impact.
Actually,
Because
that's one of the metrics that at which beyond the buying to track. Not so much the first 3 that you mentioned, but more saves and then shares.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, you know, the thing is, it's funny because I do that too. Like, I only look at shares and saves, but I never, I mean, whatever. Like, you know, as long as it's like on the right side, it's good, right? And then in likes, honestly, it doesn't really matter that much.
Like,
Huh?
so I would just share, right? Like, just seem like on Airbnb, because I have you know that I'm in property. So in Airbnb, we actually have a matrix where you actually save and wish list a property that you want to visit or whatnot. Right?
Mhm.
You actually secretly push your search or your listing to a front page.
If you what?
If somebody save or wish list your
Yeah.
venue,
Yeah.
you actually get pushed out on page 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a hidden matrix. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all algorithms. It's funny, yeah. Yeah, so saves, guys. Shares, I mean. Shares and saves. Okay. So, are we getting to... Okay, now we're going to go Now we're going to talk about Now we're going to talk about how to win on Instagram and how to like quadruple and 10x your reach. And this strategy that we coach and that we just use, and I think every creator, so I have a podcast where I talk to creators that have big audiences, and all of them use the strategy. They don't call it what we call it the modeling strategy, and it's not something we came up with. It's just an approach to content creation that's going to completely change the game for everyone. And we all kind of know it and it makes sense, but we don't religiously implement it. But you have to religiously implement it if you're serious about building your business on Instagram. If you don't do this, you're an idiot. Like, it's as simple as that, because it's a shortcut to success. And in a nutshell, what it is you model what works. You don't come up with your own stuff. You don't get creative. I know we have an artist here, so that's a different story, right? If you want to be creative and if you want to be an artist, I'm in it to make money. And I'm in it to build my business, to build my community, to get the word across. So I don't care about creativity. I am a creative person, I think, but I have to throw all of that out of the window, or a lot of it out of the window, because if I start to come up with my own ways of creating content, I will ignore the fact that there are millions of pieces of content and successful creators out there that have already done what I want to do. And all I need to do is model the success that they've already shown me works. Learn from all the failures and the successes that others have done, right? So the modeling strategy is essentially like a very simple system to just model what works and only model what works, so that you can focus on the metric that's most important, which is retention and growth. And it's insane. So in our, like, we've been using this approach to content creation for years, but we launched our coaching program in the beginning of the year, and then in August we were like, okay, we're going to do a challenge with all of our members in our coaching program, and they're all like 500 followers, 1,000 followers, 2,000, 0 followers, and so on, right? And so we wanted to see what happens when we take our members and do a challenge with them. 1 month, they have to post every day, and they have to model every single of their posts. And modeling means the posts that they model, that they draw inspiration from, have to have at least 1 million views, and they have to be disproportionately successful for the creator that posted it. So somebody that has 10 million followers and has a reel with 1 million views, that doesn't count. Somebody that has 50,000 followers and has a reel with 1 million views, that's a winner, right? So we forced them to do that, and the result was completely nuts. It was nuts. So we had 40 people take part in this challenge, and we got 6 million views across these 40 people. And they were like, on average, they had like 800 followers, right? And so 6 million views, 25,000 followers added across all 40. And half of them didn't even finish the challenge, okay? And it's insane. It's just insane how well this worked. So I will walk you through the very, very simple way of how it works. It's gonna take me 5 minutes to walk you through it. And if you just do that, it's just completely gonna change your game. Okay. There's actually only 4 steps. Step number 1 of the modeling strategy is you find a topic. Step number 2 is you find a reel to model around this topic. And identifying a reel, again, means you go out there, you find outliers, so reel that performed exceptionally well for a certain creator, a multiple of their followers in views. And then the next thing is you identify what is the we call it the viral blueprint of this reel. Okay, so if this is the reel, let's say it's a 50-second reel, there are certain variables that all you need to do is copy those variables. And so I'll tell you exactly what you can model and what element you change to make it yourself. You don't want to copy, right? It's not about copying. It's about modeling success. So one thing you will look at is the hook. What is the hook? So what is the person saying in the beginning, right? Like, hey, if you are a project manager and you want to score a job at Meta, blah, 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 right? Like, what are the words that they use? And you can use the sentence structure and the message and rephrase it in your own way, right? Like, if you struggle with your flexibility and you want to be able to touch your toes, da, 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 right? So that's a hook, or you can rephrase it depending on what your topic is. Length, important, guys. We know retention is very important, right? So that means the length of the reel is very important. If you start to go out there, and I'm sure if you have been creating reels before, you do go out and get inspiration, like, hey, I'm going to create a version of that. And we see that so many times. Like, people would go and create an old version for it of a reel, and I look at it, I'm like, bro, like, it has nothing to do with the original. Like, you need to be way more strict with all of these different variables, and length is one of them, right? If it's 50 seconds, your reel is between 48 and 52 seconds, okay? No excuses. It needs to be pretty much the same length. Ideally, it's 50 seconds as well. Camera angle. Copy the camera angle, same camera angle. If they're in front of a white wall, you're in front of a white wall. If they're at a park, you're at a park. If they're, I don't know, whatever, you're also, I don't know, whatever, okay? Okay, visuals and text. Something that's been working super well for us, you can see it on my Instagram, is, because you were asking about a hook, right? A challenge that I have in my content a lot is like to make clear what this piece of content is from the very beginning, especially when we repurpose content like this. And I'm not like, there's no perfect hook in it. I want to kind of like be able to make it clear, who is this for? What are they getting? So one thing that's working really well is, if this is your video, to have like a little box at the very beginning that calls out exactly what this reel is about. So for example, I don't know, fitness influencer reveals how to really make money online, right? And then you kind of like call out, okay, fitness influencer make money online, like you already have some context, and then people are distracted reading it, the reel is running, and then they're like, they know the context, and then they listen to what people are saying. So the visuals are very important, right? If there's something like this, text overlay, you will have text overlay. If there are captions, you have captions. Same thing. Also the color of it, right? Make sure that the contrast of the color is the same. If you do like white text and you can't really see the contrast or something, then that's bad. You need to really use the same like format of everything. Okay, audio. If they speak, you speak. If they don't speak, you don't speak. Okay, so same audio. Same for music. So if there's music trending audio, you use the same. And then the pace. There's only 3 more, guys. Pace. What is the vibe? How fast paced is it? Are there very many like fast cuts, or is it one cut? How fast are they speaking? Like the vibe of it, the energy of it, you want to copy it too. And that's why it's important that you find creators that create content in the way that you would be able to create content as well. Don't try to emulate somebody that doesn't vibe with you, right? You want to try to be you. You need to experiment with that. It takes some time to really experiment and find out. You just need to try and do a lot of research online, seeing like how people do it, and then find the ones that are doing it in a way that works for you, okay? So that you can actually, if they're like super outgoing in your face, like, and you're not like that, it's going to be hard for you to emulate the pace. Okay, and then the concept. So this is just the general concept of the reel. We were talking about like 3 tips. If it's 3 tips, you do 3 tips. If it's like one talking thing, like just talking about one point, then you do the same, right? The concept of the reel is a big part of the viral blueprint of a reel, and it's important for you to emulate that. And then the last one is the description. If there's a long description, you do the same. If the description is short, you do the same. If there's a call to action, you do the same. Hashtags, you do, well, not the same hashtags, depending on your context. So these are the things that you're going to keep, and what you're going to change is the topic, okay? You're going to obviously frame it with your topic. And if you do this, like you were saying, like three posts per week, if you post three reels per week and you follow this, only working with absolute winning reels, I can guarantee you that your growth is going to multiply. It's inevitable. Like I've seen it in the challenge. We're doing another challenge with our community now in October. It started today actually, And so many people in the community signed up for it because it was so incredibly successful. Yeah.
Quick question on that. So if you have, I guess, like 10 people that you're following and really like their stuff, and you kind of want to apply that strategy, but they're going about it quite differently. One is shorter, one is longer, one is, I don't know, different captions and different pace, then your own identity is kind of get whitewashed a bit. So how do you level that up?
You can't do that. If you model, the closer you model the original reel, the more likely you will be able to get the same result.
Right.
The more you deviate from it, the less likely you are. Let's say you, what does this mean? Shit, I can't read my own writing. Let's see, you change the visuals. Oh yeah, right, thanks. you change the camera angle and the visuals, you're already changing quite a bit, right? And then if you change the pace and then maybe the length, like it's a completely different reel. So you want to check as many boxes as possible. It's just like, this is how we've seen it work. Now, if that means it takes some time for you to find people that are creating content in the way that you like it, right? But that's just a part of the game. The alternative is that you recreate the wheel, or what is it? Recreate the wheel? Reinvent the wheel? Reinvent the wheel from scratch every time, and that's going to take 1,000,000 years longer. And the other thing is, when you create anything, what is so important is that you take action, you create, you see the results, you analyze, and you adapt. And the modeling strategy forces you to do that because you continuously change and try new formats. If you just go and create your own content on Instagram and come up with your own concepts, it's just like, it's so difficult because people tend to then just like post the same concept in the same style over and over again. And they're like, well, but I am consistent. It's not about a consistency. Consistency, obviously, with anything you want to accomplish, you need to be consistent, but you need to iterate. You need to get 1% better every time. And if you don't do that, you're basically screwed. Yeah. Okay. I think, guys.
So I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Could you please educate more on the concept?
Yeah. Okay, this is the most vague one. I get it, yeah. So essentially you just look at what we mean by concept is just what is the structure and the approach and the kind of like the angle of the content. So I was giving the example of like 3 mistakes or 4 reasons to blah blah blah, or like generally just like the approach of the content itself, right? If somebody does like 3 mistakes to blah blah blah, then you go with 3 mistakes. If somebody is doing, I don't know, like telling some kind of story, then you do the same thing. Yeah. If you message me on Instagram, I will send you the link to the modeling strategy mini course, and it's a detailed video where I walk you through it. I walk you through all of these things. There's a page. You can also go to impact.me. We have it somewhere on there in the learn section. And we also give you, there's a link to a library of, actually it's not that relevant for you because it's all like, what, are you in the wellness industry, you said? No, okay. So it's all wellness and fitness related reels. But there's like a lot of examples and like before and after, like original and modeled and stuff like that. So you can get more insight into like what all of this actually means.
But if I IG message you and you get the doc or
I'll send it to you.
the modeling, yeah.
I'll send it to you, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Okay, guys, I think this is pretty much it. Blah. Yeah, so it's pretty late already. Guys, Q&A if you have any questions. Yeah, okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for your attention. Really appreciate you showing up. Thank you so much. Thanks. All right, cool. All right. Thank you. All right, see you guys around.